Hi, welcome to The Bigger Picture. I'm Matthews Frank.
And I'm Kiara Montero.
Here at The Bigger Picture, we're all about recognizing organizations here on campus that you may have not known about.
So happy Thursday, Matthews. How are you doing? Week's coming to an end.
Yeah, the semester's beating me up right now. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's cool. But we do have some exciting stuff to look forward to this weekend. It's one of my housemates' birthdays, so I'm looking forward to that. And then on top of that, we do have a really big charity softball event coming up. We should tell the audience a little bit about that.
Yeah, so moving on here. So before we get into today's episode, let's tell you about some upcoming events here on campus that are happening this Saturday.
Yes, so if you guys are not aware, both Matthews and myself are both student leaders here on campus, and this Saturday, both the Latino Student Union, in collaboration with the Kumi chapter of Nu Sigma Upsilon Sorority Incorporated, will be hosting a charity softball event.
The softball charity event will be taking place April 23rd at the softball field behind Lee Hall. The purpose of this charity event is to support migrant students by raising funds to provide scholarship assistance, as well as any personal items they may need to pursue their educational dreams. All proceeds from this event will be donated to the Voces Foundation here in the Oswego County.
So we are currently still looking for teams. Each team must consist of 7 players, and we will be accepting teams up until Saturday morning. So foods and drinks will also be sold at the event, and all proceeds will go to charity, and the spectators are welcomed for free.
Now, it's kind of crazy how this event came together. I remember we met the foundation back in September, and we were just like, okay, we didn't know this existed in Oswego. I never knew there was a migrant assistance here in Oswego that helps out people like that. So once I heard about it, me and my vice president, we were like, yeah, we know we got to jump on this. And then it was great that we collabed with you guys because we both serve the same purpose, basically.
No, I agree.
The fact that we thought about this last semester and now it's actually happening, I'm kind of nervous.
It's like a long time coming.
Yeah.
And also, like, knowing that there's a foundation like the Voces Foundation here in such a small county like Oswego, it's important for us to highlight these type of foundations because there's a lot of students who can be doing charity work for them and donating to these families who need assistance. You know, it starts with us, but it's going to continue on even after our event. So I'm looking forward to that.
But now, the real question is, do you play softball?
Am I going to see you on the field?
I mean, I don't play softball, but do you play softball?
Yeah, so I actually played softball in high school, so I am really looking forward to this event because any excuse to get on the field, I'm going to take it. And I'm looking forward to, like, you know, fun, competitive game of softball, nothing too serious, playing, you know, with my college peers. So it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I have zero experience with softball. I play kickball, which is kind of the same thing as softball. Well, you're kicking the ball compared to hitting the ball, but that's kind of the only experience I personally have.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
When we get back from break, we will be meeting with our special guest for our final episode of this season of The Bigger Picture, so make sure to stay tuned.
Only on WTOP.
DeCarlo on the rebound! Alex DeCarlo!
Yeah, it's been a wild game so far. A lot of high scoring, so definitely tighten it up and play out that full 60 minutes.
Welcome back to the best show on WTOP 10 out on our own Oswego.
Did you hear that Bad Bunny is going to be in Canada over spring break, you know?
I heard that one.
Drink a cognac. The week.
Roll it.
The Kinda Late Show with Chloe and Anna. Like licorice, Twizzlers, absolutely nasty. the thought of turkey is just nauseating.
I think
can't.
you're wrong, is what I think.
You think I'm wrong a lot of times.
I do think you're wrong a lot.
Welcome back to The Bigger Picture. Today we are featuring our former students and current campus leaders in diversity, equity, and inclusion work, Tiffany Benya and Markel Jeffries. Yes, welcome.
Thank y'all.
Okay, so Tiffany and Markel both work to foster a campus environment that respects, embraces, and promotes cultural and active engagement in developing an inclusive and vibrant community of transformative agents committed to positive change and to the world. Welcome.
So guys, how are you guys doing today? We definitely want you guys to tell the audience a little bit about yourselves, who you guys are, what year you guys graduated, because you are former students here, and what current positions you hold at the Institute.
You want to start?
Yeah, I'll go for it. So, my name is Markel Jeffries. I'm a May 2019 graduate at SUNY Oswego. I majored in broadcasting, mass communications. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. And I've been working as an assistant coordinator for diversity and inclusion. Started off in the Office of Diversity, and then that was in 2020, and then we expanded into the Institute of Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Transformative Practice. It's a long thing.
Name.
Yeah, but I think one of the cool things that we do is facilitate workshops across campus among different topics. We talk about cultural humility, as you mentioned. We talk about like exploring your social and personal identity and how that's perceived in the world, and you know how you can maneuver through that. We talk a little bit about like stereotypes, microaggressions, and things like that. But mostly just connecting with the students. I think that's one of the most like beneficial roles that I have in the institute.
Yeah, and I'm Tiffany Pena, but everyone pretty much knows me by Tiff. So I work as the graduate assistant in the Institute. I graduated in May of 2020 with my bachelor's in human development, and I'm now completing my master's of science in school counseling, and we'll be graduating this May.
That's exciting. Okay, so you have a lot to look forward to, the both of you guys. So before we get any further into today's episode, we really want to know, what does DEI mean to you guys? So how are you able to incorporate this in the Oswego community, especially as a student leader?
Okay. So for me, DEI, like, really, in the work that I do, it focuses around creating space for people. Like that is my goal. That is always my intention. You know, as a woman of color coming to Oswego, it was a little difficult for me to adjust. And so I knew I wanted to get my voice out there, basically, and to kind of be that representation for our like student body. And so, you know, that's really what it entails for me. It's just like kind of being that representation a little bit. And you know, I've been a student leader. Like I was involved with Women's Censor, Latino Student Union. I'm involved with 2.5, right? Like, so I try to incorporate all these aspects that I know and I've learned from my job into all the spaces that I walk into daily.
Okay.
I think just to add off of Tiff, like, DEI is not just like the work we do. It's not just the label of the work. I think it really comes down to like virtues, like what's the way you live, like what's your lifestyle, like values. You know, right? We talk about diversity, like it's been such a big thing, especially like with the climate of, you know, politics and stuff like that lately. So, you know, we know there's diversity. There's different people, like of different backgrounds, different everything, you know. You know, equity, making sure that everyone's reaching the same marks, no matter if you have to provide more resources for the, you know, underrepresented people, and then inclusion, making sure that everybody feels a home, a sense of community, like Tiff said. Like, so I've seen that a lot through like the student organizations, even through the work that I do, like see it in the classrooms, and it's a great thing to see, you know. You just live by it, you know. It's not something that like you can learn it in textbooks, like, but it really takes to feel it and to really understand it and be empathetic with it, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like it takes, once you start having those experiences, for you to really like realize the work you are doing. You did mention like one thing you would like to incorporate for DEI is a safe space, being a voice. And I feel like you do that in so many instances as being a student leaders. Because one time, like there's times where there's that one student who has, you know, a hard time like breaking out of their shell, vocalizing how they feel. And as a student leader, that's really what you do. You're an advocate for them. You're their voice that they are unable to really find. So a lot of what you do, like, it goes a long way. It plays a really big role in a community like SUNY Oswego and being at a PWI, where, at least for me, I'm really far from home. So just having that sense of family, having people who encourage me to speak up and find my place in the community. So that's great.
I think that's important what you said.
So our next question we have for you guys is, what skills have you obtained thus far, and how do you guys apply them to, you know, the real world and to like when you were with your family and when you were with your friends from the city and stuff like that?
One thing I will say about this work is that it is a lifelong process, and it's a learning process, and there's a learning curve that comes with it, right? So for me, like, having done this work, like, I've had enough time to really reflect on like my values, right? Like Markel mentioned, and just thought about like how I view the world and how others view the world, and appreciating that difference, but then also helping people to understand that like their perspective can be changed as well in terms of like widening their perspective, if that makes sense. So yeah, like I think that in itself has helped me to grow as an individual. And we, you know, like Markel mentioned, we do a lot of trainings and stuff, and so the public speaking aspect has also been such a learning experience. Over the summer, I presented to 1,000 incoming students. That's insane. that was split up over 2 days, but it was like I walked away and I was like, oh my God, did I just do that? You know? So those have been definitely my biggest skills thus far.
I think takeaways, I think just taking away that it's such like a monumental like opportunity, you know, to be able to, like, I ain't gonna lie, at first I thought about it as like, okay, I'm back here, and like I thought about it as like dollar signs, like, you know, coming out of college, it's like you gotta get your funds, you gotta get your ends and stuff like that. But I think it's like so beneficial to be in a space where I maneuver through and I've learned my way through it, kind of like through trial and error, or like through the mentors that I've had or friends that I met along the way. And then like now, like I have all of this knowledge to give, kind of, so like why not give it to the next generation? Like it's like each one teach one, you know. So like everything that I can everything that I've learned, I just want to give that to others, and so allow that cycle to go, and like the next person to put their spin on it, you know.
You know, it's crazy. Going from being a student here to being a worker, you literally have like, your biggest growing years have been in SUNY Oswego. Like, that's kind of insane. Like, I feel like college within itself, you have, like, you're living your biggest growing years, but you've also had an adult aspect to it. You know what I mean? So I do have a couple of questions. Is there one program, event, workshop that you've hosted and you've been able to, like, it has had the biggest impact on you? Like, what was your biggest takeaway from one event?
I'll let you go to like that's
No, that's a really good question. So we do a lot of trainings across everywhere. So like, you know, in the summer we got to do stuff with like Laker leaders, like RAs. We do stuff with DAs all the time. And actually, so one of the last ones that we did was with the SOS staff of in like residence life and housing. So that includes desk attendants, RTs, the recycling technicians, the computer technicians, all those individuals. And we went off script from what we normally do, and it was such a fun thing, like, because we've done work with this group a lot, and so we actually talked about like cancel culture, and that's something that we've never spoken about in any of our presentations and our trainings and stuff. And we were able to have such a great conversation, and it was like late at night. I know these people were probably tired, but like we had such an amazing conversation. The supervisor came up to us afterwards and was like, I'm not gonna lie, like this was the best one yet. Like this was so amazing. And it was just like humbling, because like we really went off script and we were like nervous going into it, but it was just awesome.
I think, yeah, I agree with that. That's probably like top 3 moments. And I feel like a lot of those moments came recently. I think like once we really got to build that chemistry, do things on our own, really have that like autonomy of like how we can provide that education to, you know, the students, provide to the organizations and stuff like that. I think aside from that, like, there was one collaboration program we did with the Know Your Rights campaign with Student Association, and we were able to bring students from Syracuse. They were 11th graders, and we were able to teach them about like their human rights and social rights and stuff like that. Let them know the importance of like health, and just seeing them like really want to learn. You know, they're here and they really want to learn. And like we did like an obstacle course like to emphasize like health, and like there was a moment where like the students was jump roping, and like some of them, it was their first time jump roping, and you can just see the determination. They didn't give up. Like they wasn't like, I'm looking crazy in front of my friends. Like I'm just, you know, I'm trying, you know. So I think
they saw their purpose within that workshop.
Right. So I think that like that was something that was like one of my favorites seeing, you know.
Okay. So what's one thing you want the audience at home to take away from the importance of the work that DEI does?
It's a great question. Just understanding that, you know, like I kind of mentioned earlier, it's a lifelong process. It's a learning, you know, it's a learning process, you know. I always like to say, like, society and the world as we know it is ever changing, right? Like, think back to when you were in high school versus the person that you are now. Completely different, right? And then think about, on a bigger scale, how different the world is compared to when you were in high school, right? You know, and given just so many recent events in the past couple of years, like, we are pushing for so much social change. And like the upcoming generation, like I think that they're going to be such great social advocates, and like we are kind of setting that path for them, right? So just like understanding that, like, again, it is a learning process, it's a lifelong process, and you just have to start somewhere, and everyone's journey is different.
Man, what can I add on to that? It's a lifelong process. It's a learning journey. Learn, you know, like you don't have to just learn from books and like things like that. Like what's your preferred method, you know? Like do you like videos? Do you like movies? Do you like the music? You know, like find your proper medium to educate yourself. Like we're in such a like great space to learn from different people. You know, we're all in Central New York, like and we're coming from different places. Like, yeah, I'm like coming from Buffalo, coming from the city, coming from different countries, you know? So like take the time and indulge in the experience, and like you don't have to be the next like MLK, Malcolm X to really stand up for something, like to, you know, to help progress and make change, you know? Like I think that's something I would like for people to take away.
That kind of reminds me of like my dad, because my dad always reminds me.
I'm a dad.
I mean like that, but it's just like my dad. He always reminds me, like, you know, try like step out, be something different. Don't be like the next. It's like what he said. Don't be like the next Martin Luther King. Don't be like the next someone. Just be the first you. Yeah. He always reminds me to do that. So I don't know. Just hearing that just give me nostalgic vibes. Every time I'm on the phone, he says the same thing. Just be you. Just be the first you. Be the first you. So it's like that's true. I like what you said.
Okay.
So from the first time you both stepped foot onto campus up until now, you guys did mention you graduated back in 2019. So what changes have you seen within the community, and how have they stood out to you? And, you know, how is that impacting you as a student leader?
Let me take this job.
Yeah, I was like, tackle that one first.
I think I wasn't like, I would say I was in like a mixture of like eras. Like I feel like my era was like when I came into like the people who came before me, like 2013, 2014 class, like I think they provided such a like pivotal like movement for us to build off of and to learn from. And I think they provided us with like a lot of proper tools, like really that active, what I always envisioned and wanted to strive for being a student leader, like really being a mentor and like advocate for your younger heads and stuff like that. So, and just seeing, being in my own area and like being able to use those tools and see how many great people came through and like made their changes, put their stamp on it, and like now like being an administrator and like being somebody who is like helping, not spearheading it, but helping just supporting it wherever I can, like not using my voice, but providing a space where they can use their voice, where y'all can use your voices to, you know, voice your concerns, what you want to see changed. You know, we only got 4 years and then 2 years, however, you know, depending on when you come into it, but like, just putting your stamp on it, you know. And I see that a lot, and that's beautiful. Like seeing the energy, even though it's a shift of energy, you still go towards the same goals of making a change and building a better community, you know.
I think that motivates someone even more. You know what I mean? Okay. So when we return from break, we're going to hear more from our special guests on what to expect from them in the near future.
The Kinda Late Show with Chloe and Anna. Like licorice, Twizzlers, absolutely nasty.
The thought of turkey is just nauseating.
I think you're wrong. That's what I think.
You think I'm wrong a lot of times.
I do think you're wrong a lot.
Here's our weather elements and our social media Saturday. And that's all.
Welcome back. Here in the studio, we're joined by both Tiffany and Markel.
Tonight, our guests have given both myself and Matthews, and even the audience at home, such a great perspective on the importance of DEI work, but we do want to hear a little bit more about you two and what the future has in store for both Tiffany and Markel.
So, where do you hope to see yourself 6 years from now?
6 years. So it's crazy because this question makes me think, because I have spent 6 years in Oswego. This year will be my 6th year. So that's wild to think that 6 years have passed. So to think about the next 6 is like, whoa. But no, honestly, I am hoping to just see myself settled in my career. So I recently just accepted a job. And thank you. So I'm going to be a school counselor in Ithaca, New York for the school district out there. And so I'm hoping to kind of lay my roots down there for a little bit, start my home, and just build from there. And yeah.
That's exciting, a little overwhelming. Where's your hometown?
I'm originally from the Bronx.
From the Bronx.
Yes.
And you're going to be, that's a huge transition, because being in Oswego temporarily is different from starting a whole life in a new town. So best of luck. I know you're gonna do great things.
Thank you.
Oh, is it me? What? 6 years, like, I don't know. It's crazy. So I could say, short term, like, I feel like I could see myself still here, really laying down like the foundation for what the institute is to become. Like, I feel like we're in the developmental stages, you know. Like, I feel like
it's recently opened.
Right. Yeah. Like, I feel like, you know, we've been making a lot of great steps in a short time in terms of, you know, having, you know, appointing a chief diversity officer, like having a space for that, and then to expand and create a outreach center, like a safe space where we're reachable, you know. So just to see what that can become, like hopefully it'll be big to a point where like we'll need another building for it. You know what I'm saying? But
That's the dream.
That's
Right.
the
That's a
dream.
good
You
end
know?
goal. That's
You
a
know?
really good end goal.
Like speaking of dreams, like I feel like another thing that I do, well not that I feel like another thing that I do is music. You know, I've been doing this since I was like a young person. I think I really developed my music career, at least my confidence at SUNY Oswego, like being able to do performances in front of like friends during like different shows, like variety shows, fashion shows, things like that, and really like see a way through it and have that be a way for me to, you know, navigate and not really just focus so much on the pressure that being a college student can bring, like with the schoolwork, with the, you know, all your leadership roles. Like music was always my safe space, and so, you know, I actually dropped my first like album like my senior year here, which was cool.
Congrats to you. I'll give you
Thank you. And like, you know, fast forward now, in July, like I'm gonna be dropping like fast forward to my third one, you know. And so I think just being here, like, it's not the ideal spot, you know. I'll keep it 100 with you, you know. Like, I can see, that's why we working towards the real dream, you know. Like, I can see myself down south, like, kicking my feet up with my Crocs on.
Me too.
You know, like,
Same, right?
you know, need the Crocs, you know. No sports mode on them, like, just chilling, you know. So that's the goal, that's the dream, and we manifesting it, you know?
Yes, as you should. Manifestation plays such a big role.
Yes.
And some people really sleep on like manifestation, but I'm a big believer in speaking things into existence.
Right.
The things you want, it's out there. As long as you personally believe, like, if you can do it, you can do it. Like, if that's what you think, you can do it. You know what I
put
mean?
out what you want to receive. That's what I do.
So we would like to thank Markel and Tiffany for joining us on our very last episode of the semester tonight. It was a pleasure. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So
you so
we do
much.
want to thank everyone at home. Thank you all for tuning into this season of The Bigger Picture. This was a new and different experience for both myself and Matthews coming back from Oz Anonymous. But we would like to give a huge thank you to those who tuned in every week.
Be sure to catch us next semester. And don't forget
to always see the bigger
things.
picture.
Athletics. Aaron, there were 6 big points. This is the one you've been waiting for. This group has never beaten Cortland.
Getting started with some men's soccer as the Lakers had 2 conference matchups.
For half of the Lakers' goals this entire season.
Offense is key. You talked all about scoring goals.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News.
For the governor race with a strong lead, former Governor Andrew Cuomo is...
Barlow announced the completion of a large building mural in downtown Oswego.
The renovations on the Hewitt Union building, turning it into the new Hewitt Hall.
And as we move into tomorrow, that rain is going to be in our area.
Moving to the Diamond now, as Sweet Caroline got a lot sweeter last night.
Life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire, but you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
We've been marinating chicken in all sorts of liquids for 24 hours. These are vitamins and minerals and things that you need, nutrients. The Chicken Speedy is a